Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Micah from Sapulpa Times. It is the first episode of March, so hope that your February went well. It's pretty cloudy outside right now. I think we probably got a chance at some rain, maybe not. But anyway, we're off to a good start. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today. Gonna talk about the middle school making the decision to start earlier later this month through the end of the year and why that's a decision that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But first, we're going to start with the really sad news that we learned over the weekend about the Lady Chieftains basketball team. And you can see in this picture here, this is when they won the Tahlequah tournament late last year, and how these guys ended up giving up their chance at another state championship this year, and how it made a bunch of us even more proud of them than we already were. So, to be clear, the state championship team at the Sapulpa Lady Chieftains has become something of a dynasty over the last several years, and Coach Caleb and Coach Nikki Cooper have really figured out the formula for all intents and purposes on how to raise and create a team of championship winning female basketball athletes, which is no small feat, especially in a town of our size, a school of our size, going up against schools that are much bigger and have a much deeper bench than they do. And yet, these coaches and this team consistently pulls out the wins. And if nothing else, they always give us a really good show at the games when we go to watch. So the news that we had, the news rather that they had forfeit their shot at a championship game. It was really disheartening to hear. But if you're not fully aware of the full story, let me break it down for you. So, they had their first game of the regional tournament last week, and what happened, according to the statement that was released by the Sapulpa Public Schools, is that they discovered during that game that an ineligible player had been participating. We were not told who that was or why they were ineligible, although the suspicions are probably grades. So it was found out in the middle of the game or at some point during the game. And rather than keep it to themselves and just try to sweep it under the rug, the school actually self reported the infraction to the athletic director for Putnam City West and to the OSSAA, and they gave themselves a sort of a punishment for it. And then they said, we will be willing to do whatever it takes in order to stay in the tournament. But they understood that they had played and won that game with an ineligible player. And the OSSAA ruled that it was not allowed. Of course, I mean, it was the rule that was seemingly unwittingly broken. And so they were actually going to have to forfeit that game. And that brought the season for the Lady Chieftains to the end. And so it's a sad result for the season. But I got to tell you, speaking as someone who's been watching these ladies for a long time now, that I really am proud. I think that you see the moral character of this team come shining through here. It is really easy. No, no, no. It's not easy, but it's certainly easier to create a team that consistently wins championships and and shows good basketball talent. Okay. I'm not going to say that's easy. That obviously takes a lot of dedication and hard work. But when you have that thing that the team then becomes known for, which is making the playoffs every year, winning the state championship a lot of those years, and then you hold that out in front of them and you threaten to take it away, then it would be a natural response to say, no, we're going to hang on to that and we're going to do whatever it takes to win because we don't want to destroy this dynasty that we've built. But the fact that the coaches and the team were willing to had that taken away in order to sleep better at night and be able to walk away with their heads held high that they did the right thing. I think it shows a lot of integrity for the team and for the coaches. So I really personally, guys, I really, really commend you for this. I know it's a really difficult, tough, devastating loss to have to end your season in that sort of a way. And I know that the news got spread all around the media outlets because, again, this is the team that people talk about all across the state. We have players that consistently go to play really good ball at the college level. A couple of them are at OSU right now that we're watching. And so to end it on this note, I understand that it's disheartening, but the team needs to know that we are very proud that you guys showed the moral turpitude and the moral character to be willing to give up the thing that you guys work all year long for, multiple seasons for, be willing to give that up in order to play the game fairly and to do what's right. So we appreciate that, guys. We really do. Let it. We. I just hope that you guys know that most of Sapulpa are standing with you guys, and at the same time that we are mourning with you guys at the loss of your season, we are also extremely proud. Very proud to be known as a school that stands up for what's right. So we appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to the other piece of news that we had for today. So, if you're not aware, last October, Sapulpa Middle School had to cancel classes due to a threat to online or on social media. And what had happened in that case was there was a threat that was made to Snapchat that was threatening violence against the school or students at the school. And out of an abundance of caution, because of the time of day and such, when the threat became apparent to the school administrators, they made the decision to go ahead and cancel classes for one day. And it only affected the middle school, didn't affect any of the other elementaries or the high school or anything else throughout Sapulpa Middle School. So the problem with that is that state, I don't know if it's state statute, but state school rules basically require a school to have a certain number of days and hours that they are in the classroom. All the students have to be in school a certain number of days. And even where there's exceptions like snow days or some sort of a other disaster of sorts or something, usually they have to go and they have to make those days up at some point, unless it's an excuse like traditional snow day or something. So in this case, this was actually the media called it when the school put the news out about this, they called it a planned closure. And what it actually was, it was this right here. It was planned, but it wasn't planned. I mean, they were forced to make that decision on the circumstances that happened right before, during the evening, basically, is when it happened. And then they had to close school for the next day. And so now, thankfully, nothing happened. It was kind of deemed an uncredible threat, and school resumed the very following day after the day that it was closed. But the problem is that the state requires you to have so many hours of time in the classroom. And so the school made a decision, and this was approved by the school board, to go ahead and change the start time for the Sapulpa Middle School 10 minutes early, starting on March 23rd through the end of the school year, with the exception of a couple of different days in there. So, first of all, as they were explaining this, I mean, I don't have a student in middle school yet. I have my youngest son is going to middle school next year. And I don't mean this as any sort of a criticism of the school administration. I understand that you guys are just doing what you've been required to do, but I'm kind of shining a light on here on how ridiculous it is that the state requires this, because we're talking a 10-minute increased start time for the remainder of the school year in order to make up one day of a school closure. And it's the reason why I'm saying it's so ridiculous is because there is nothing, and you and I, who have all been through school, knows this, that especially when you start school earlier, kids are coming to school, they got cobwebs in their brain, they're still waking up. And so you're not adding any real valuable educational time to a student's day by making them go to school earlier. And so the fact that they had to do this, I'm not sure why the decision was made to start school earlier every day instead of just adding one day to the school year, or maybe making them go one less day during spring break or something. They didn't really explain that. But this is the decision that they decided to go. And it was just to point a finger at the state education system and say, you know, what's the deal? It's a stupid rule, and it's one that I guess you're doing out of the uh, the fact that everybody has to attend school for the same amount of days and hours in order to keep it a standard across the state. And I understand that, but the fact that this right here is even an option where you can literally add 10 minutes a day to every day going through the school year, and it adds no educational value to anyone whatsoever, ever. And all it really does is inconvenience everybody involved, because now they have to reset their alarm clocks. Maybe they have to rearrange their drop off schedules and stuff in order to have the kids at school earlier. It looks like the bus schedules won't be changing, so that's good. But I understand that I'm kind of coming out against them here, but I'm just shining a light on this. That this is really just um, a commentary on the ridiculousness of the state rule here. So I don't know why they decided to go this route with it, but it was presented to the school board and they approved it at the school board meeting in February. And, ultimately it'll end up being a nothing, about as much of a nothing as it was the first time when they had to cancel classes out of a threat on social media. So, anyway, I mean, I guess I appreciate that they were willing to make the effort to go and try and standardize things across the school year again. But not so sure that this is the best move. And the state really kind of, the requirement that they have to make sure that everybody has to go to school the exact same number of hours, even when at the end result, you're not going to gain any additional educational value from it. I think it's pretty ridiculous. So, anyway, hope you guys are off to a great start in the week. Appreciate my critical commentary there, and thanks for tuning in to the Time Loop Live, guys. We're going to keep it short. We'll be back on Wednesday. Have a great Monday, everybody. We'll see you again on Wednesday, where we talk about all things happening in the town that we love. Have a great Monday. Take care. Bye bye.